Hello and welcome to another episode of COgreen presented by iFOREST. My name is Mandvi Singh and I work at iFOREST as Program Director of Clean Energy. And we're here today to talk about what's happening in March 2026. There's a meme going around on social media saying that the March month isn't even over and we've experienced almost like a year's worth of events. We've seen multiple festivals, we've seen the weather swinging from cold to heat to rains. We've seen World Cup wins, we've seen IPL starting, and of course the big one. There's geopolitical tensions with new chapters every day, and the war is still going on. What most conflicts do is, it leads to some sort of supply disruption, some sort of trade flow impact. But what the current West Asian crisis has done, it has really exposed India's energy insecurity. Of course, this is not news that we depend highly on imports as far as oil and gas sector is concerned. 90% of our crude oil is imported and nearly half of it comes from West Asia. There's a significant share of LNG that is imported and sourced from Gulf, and nearly 90% of our LPG is imported. The impact is very tangible. It is there all over the news. Households are getting impacted. The non-subsidized LPG cylinders, the prices have gone up by nearly 60 rupees. There's curtailed supply, especially for commercial segments. Hotels and small businesses are getting impacted. We know MSMEs who particularly operate on gas are running at like 12 hours rather than their usual 20 hours. And urea segment has been significantly impacted because of its gas dependence, with a few plants shut and many of them running at 60-70% of their capacity. But what we are here today to talk about are not the immediate crisis and the short-term solutions around it. What we want to unpack is what are the deeper long-term signals coming out of this moment that we are currently under. Join us as we talk about the criticality of India's energy security and how the pathway to achieving is very firmly linked to a green energy transition. I'm joined today by Dr. Chandra Bhushan, who's our CEO and President here at iFOREST, and he will help me unpack this. How the road to climate change mitigation, to air pollution reduction, and to energy security is in fact an interlinked pathway and not a separate agenda that the country needs to pursue through separate strategies. CB, it is very clear now that accelerating the shift towards clean energy is critical, not just from a climate and sustainability perspective, but also from the perspective of building resilience and economic stability and long-term sort of national security also. What we've seen is that India has already announced a target. It is already on the agenda. By 2047, we aim to become energy independent. There is also an updated target now that we have on renewable energy. The new NDCs that were announced last week, in fact, very recently, they say that by 2035, the non-fossil fuel installed capacity in the country needs to be 60% of the total. Now, these are good enough targets on their own, but it seems that the way things are evolving, maybe we need to get more ambitious. And what is your take on that?
Thank you, Mandvi. First of all, India has always been energy insecure. When Ukraine war started, our dependence on Russian oil was what saved us from, the kind of problems that we are facing right now. The West Asian crisis has now very clearly shown that India now has to think dramatically differently about its energy security. Why I say this is that in all discussion on India's energy security, import dependence is always there. It is not that India was planning for a future where import was nil.
Yeah.
That is not there. Even the 2047 discussion on energy independence is not very clear. What does that term mean? In simple language, it could have meant that every joules of energy that India is going to consume is going to come from domestic sources. But I don't think that's what the framing is. In the last 15 years, we are on the right path as far as energy transition is concerned. But even being on that path hasn't meant that we have become energy secure. In fact, we are now importing more energy than what we did 20 years back. Obvious, in proportion terms, in percentage terms. Of course, in absolute term, our imports are increasing because as a country, we are consuming more and more energy. Today, we import 60% of our primary energy supply. We only produce 40% domestically, excluding biomass, because the data on biomass is not very clear. If we exclude biomass, then 60% of all our primary energy supply is imported, which means 90% of oil, more than 50% gas, and even 20% coal. We import about 20% of our coal consumption. Now, considering this, I think that we need to be much more ambitious. The path is correct, that path has to be made more ambitious. In fact, our domestic targets have always been more ambitious than our international commitments.
Right.
Nationally, NDCs, the nationally determined contribution, which was announced a couple of days back, we will meet it without a sweat.
Yeah.
As we did
That's
with
true.
our past international commitment.
Yeah.
So that is something, it's more about geopolitics, it's about climate change. And I'm fine with whatever India has announced as an international commitment. Of course, it could have been more ambitious, but nevertheless. But our domestic commitment has to be much more ambitious. Our renewable consumption obligation, which is close to 50% of all our electricity will come from renewable sources by 2030. Close to 45% will come from, will have to be enhanced.
And enforced. And enforced.
And enforced. Yeah. Our EV targets will have to be enhanced. We are less than 5% of vehicles sold in India are actually electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Our urea target, which is largely dependent on fossil fuel, will have to be relooked. Can we produce more green urea? In fact, every sector of the economy, we will have to now seriously look at what we can do without imported fossil fuels. That is the only way we will build a Atmanirbhar Bharat, a energy secure India, and a climate resilient India.
Yeah. I think you've mentioned a lot of the solutions, and in terms of the sectors to focus on, maybe we take that one by one in terms of what are those priority strategies that we really can take up in the next 10 years for it to manifest. One of the things where you said that, we're going in the right direction, the strategies are there and we need to accelerate, but maybe there are sectors where that strategy course correction also needs to be done. For instance, clean cooking agenda has been so gas driven. We have invested in pipelines in cities. We have given subsidies that it's a great number if you think of from, transitioning from biomass to something which is cleaner, but then it doesn't align very well with the independence agenda. I think cooking sector is one sector where, the government would really need to relook at where we are heading, especially after this current crisis that we're going under. And there have been experiments with the, biomass-based solutions which are cleaner and also electrification, but it's really not taken off.
See, first of all, let me give you some statistics.
Yeah.
Still about half of India cooks on biomass. Some completely, some partially. But biomass is still the biggest cooking fuel in India.
Yeah.
And that is polluting. It contributes to indoor air pollution as well as ambient air pollution. In fact, iFOREST studies, multiple studies of iFOREST have very clearly shown that cooking fuel could be the single largest source of air pollution in India, cooking and heating fuel together. Now, having said that, Has LPG reduced air pollution? Has it saved lives? The answer is yes. In fact, I believe that LPG is the single biggest initiative to save lives of women in this country. It has delivered, and more we can do. But from energy, as you rightly said, from energy security perspective, we import LNG. In fact, 90% of our LNG is imported from West Asia, if I'm not wrong. Qatar is the largest supplier of LNG. We have built large LNG import infrastructure. And we are building city pipelines to supply LPG. Okay. Now, what is the answer? The big answer actually is to build a clean biomass economy. Now, why I say this is because whether you use LPG or you don't use LPG, there is biomass. And we are not talking about a small amount of biomass. Even the most conservative estimates show that India has about 1 billion tons of biomass only from agriculture sector.
Yeah.
1 billion ton of biomass from agriculture, plus you have large amount of biomass coming from forest. Okay. In fact, there are 300 million people who live in and around forest who depend on forest biomass for cooking. So, we are talking about hundreds of millions of tons of biomass which is available. What is a clean biomass economy? The clean biomass economy is not clean chulha. We have tried this chulha for 50 years.
Yeah.
That's not what the clean biomass economy is. A clean biomass economy in India is an economy where biomass is converted into either biogas or it is converted into biofuel.
Right.
So, we need to convert the current solid biomass, say for example into biogas, biodiesel, bio-oil, or even dimethyl ether. In fact, if there is something which is very close to LPG as a cooking fuel, it is dimethyl ether. Dimethyl ether is actually made from biomass, and you do chemical decomposition of biomass to produce syngas, and then from there you produce dimethyl ether. It is a much cleaner cooking fuel. It has less pollutant, and it can be produced with domestic resource. So, I think the solution to India's cooking fuel is to think seriously about building a clean biomass economy and simultaneously supporting that economy with electric cooking. So, induction is the most efficient form of cooking, but I think Indian housewives will requires more time to shift completely to electric cooking. But I think a combination of clean biogas, biofuel plus electric cooking is the future for a secured cooking fuel.
Yeah. And I think besides the co-benefits of, like we said, climate and air and all of that, the very big co-benefit is of rural employment.
Absolutely.
In biomass economy.
Oh, huge. I mean to say 1 billion tons of biomass, and think about the number of jobs that will be required to convert that biomass into biogas or biofuel. A huge job. Job opportunity, huge enterprise opportunity, formal economy. I mean to say it is there with us.
Yeah.
The only challenge is how do we aggregate biomass for that economy? Technology is not a problem.
It's the supply chain aggregation.
It is how do we manage supply chain so that you have 24/7, 12 months in a year supply of biomass at competitive price. That is number one. Okay. So, supply chain management, an aggregation model that works is something which is the only bottleneck, and which is a management challenge, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. If one starts looking at every block and and develops model for every block of this country, it will work out. I'm also very clear that a biomass economy is not a centralized economy.
It's not going to be.
It cannot be that you think
and
about.
And that is why it is more difficult to manage.
It is difficult to manage. It is going to be a decentralized economy, so that every block can produce its own, aggregate and produce clean biogas or biofuel. That is how we have to look at clean biomass economy.
True. One sector where the energy security concern actually manifested was the mobility sector. I think the amount of attention that the government has given already to push EVs, it's commendable in some ways, whether it is through the Flame India scheme, whether it is through the PLI schemes for batteries and EV manufacturing, or even like electrification of public transports. They have tried to push it to a level where it reaches certain mass. The pace of adoption is clearly not as good as we would want. Solutions for transport sector. In blending we've done fairly well, at least as far as numbers are concerned, but overall, both from an EV perspective and from a ethanol blending perspective, I think how do we push this sector beyond where it already has reached?
No, I think when this ethanol program started, no one would have expected so much blending. So obviously, ethanol has been a great success in terms of reducing our import of oil. There are obvious environmental issues to be addressed in ethanol sector.
Okay.
Whether it is water, because most of the ethanol is being produced from sugarcane.
Right.
Also grain ethanol is being produced. So from water aspect and other environmental aspect, one has to
Which is also crucial.
It's crucial, but if I'm only looking from the matrix of energy security, then absolutely no doubt that ethanol blending has reduced India's import of oil.
Yeah.
We could have been importing far more than what we are doing right now. But I think the electric transition is the answer for transport sector. There is no category of vehicle that cannot run on electricity, even the heavy vehicles. India has done marvelously on rail transport. We have virtually shifted the entire rail transport to electricity. One of the very few countries in the world have been able to achieve that. So rail transport completely electric. Two-wheelers, we can certainly shift to electricity and quickly, because they are now competing and in fact much cheaper than their internal petrol and
adoption is also
rapidly increased. 2 and 3 wheelers. Car is not moving very fast, and I think the reason the car segment is not moving is because you have a conventional traditional industry which is dominating the car industry. Unlike China, where new auto manufacturers came in to expand the EV segment. India doesn't have those kind of companies in car manufacturing.
Yeah, it happened in the two-wheeler segment.
In two-wheeler it happened. So the new companies came in, they started disrupting the market, they started competing with the traditional players. That is not happening with the car sector. Passenger cars. We need, and whoever is coming are imported, are foreign companies. Whether it is BYD of China or VinFast, a Vietnamese company which has come in. So in passenger car, we need new domestic players to come in and disrupt the market. Otherwise, the pace of adoption is not going to be rapid. As I said, in heavy vehicle, commercial vehicle, in fact, our studies show that they are far more favorable economically to shift to EV than what we had thought before.
Heavy vehicles.
Heavy vehicles, yeah. The economics of heavy vehicles surprisingly is EV heavy vehicle is surprisingly quite favorable compared to diesel version. So we have to just look at, again I'm giving the example of China. We have to just look at China, how rapidly EV adoption has happened in China, and think about the kind of economy it has built. Chinese companies are now giving hard time to European automakers.
Yeah.
And they are producing vehicles that are better in quality, competing on prices. And the world is really scared. The Chinese are going to take over the auto market of the world. We are late on that road, but I think for a modern automobile industry in India, we will have to think about EVs, nothing else.
Yeah. One sector, we have a green urea report kept here, and that reminds me. So, besides the things that we've talked about, I think it's very, very important to talk about fertilizer, because if there is a sector, all of it is linked, of course. Fossil fuels have an impact everywhere, but one industry sector which also then impacts the food production in this country is fertilizer sector, which is fully gas dependent at this point. Now, what the official numbers from the ministry are saying is the plants are running at 70-75% of their capacity.
Few plants have closed down.
But there are plants that have closed down,
and some are operating partially.
So now this is a very significant concern. The way that the agriculture sector has sort of demonstrated urea dependency, some of it maybe some of it can be cut down, and maybe there is a course correction that happens in the process, which would be good for climate. But that shifting of fertilizer plants to greener fuels is absolutely critical, and it is not about climate anymore. It is about food security. So we've done these studies, and there's very encouraging numbers that came out. I think maybe you would want to talk about that.
See, urea is central to India's food production. It's about 60% of all the fertilizer used in the country actually is urea. And more than 90% of nitrogen-based fertilizer is urea. So urea is central, and it is not today. Since the beginning of Green Revolution, we have been a urea-dependent food-producing country. This is what India is. In fact, we use far more urea in terms of percentage of fertilizer than any country in the world. So we are a urea-centric agricultural economy. 90% of that urea is actually import-dependent.
Yes.
Either we import urea or we make urea from imported natural gas. So 90%. In fact, India is far more secured on energy front than on urea front. We import only about 60% of our total energy. 40% is still produced domestically. We import 90% of our urea. And there are multiple issues that needs to be addressed if we really want to look at urea sector. First is, can we produce urea without natural gas? The answer is yes. Do we have technology? The answer is yes. Is the economics favorable? It is becoming more and more favorable. Okay. So a green urea mission is to produce urea from electricity, and that electricity being produced from renewable energy is 100% possible. In fact, the report that we have done shows that in next 15 years, by 2040, 90% of India's fertilizer, urea plants can be profitably transitioned to green urea, which means that the hydrogen will come from electrolysis, the carbon dioxide will come from carbon capture, and nitrogen will come from atmosphere. Urea in any case is a very simple molecule. You need to produce ammonia, which is nitrogen and hydrogen, and then you need to react ammonia with carbon dioxide to produce urea. It's a very simple molecule to supply nitrogen to plant. And we have technology. In fact, we had technology of producing hydrogen from electricity in 1970s. The Nangal plant of Fertilizer Corporation of India, which is in Punjab, used to make hydrogen from electrolysis from Bhakra Nangal Dam. The electricity used to be supplied from Bhakra Dam.
Technology is not an issue.
Technology is not an issue. The technology exists, and in fact, what is most favorable for India is actually India has launched 2 missions in last 3 years. A green hydrogen mission. And this year in the budget, the finance minister talked about carbon capture and utilization mission.
Yeah.
The problem is that the green hydrogen mission is not focused on urea. It is focused on non-urea fertilizer and for exporting ammonia.
Yeah.
And the carbon capture and utilization mission, which was just announced, is largely focused on hard to abate sector, steel and cement. Now, suppose these 2 missions with more than 20,000 crore rupees in each. Hydrogen mission has about 20,000 crore. Carbon capture and storage, the announcement is about 20,000 crore. If both these missions are focused on urea, the green urea mission is possible. In fact, a green urea future is possible. And why I am saying this is also because India's urea manufacturing plants are actually quite old.
Yeah.
The average age of all the urea manufacturing plant in India is about 30 years. Okay? And there are plants which are 50, 60 years old. Those plants are primed for either scrapping or for replacement. So it is very much possible to build a green urea economy. One is from producing it, and second is also reducing consumption. We overuse urea, we misuse urea. So how do we make sure that our nitrogen use efficiency of utilizing urea is improved? That is another area of work. But if government launches a green urea mission, it can reduce its subsidy by 65%, carbon dioxide emission by 60%, and it has a benefit of close to $1 trillion in the next 25 to 30 years. So it's a completely win-win.
Yeah.
And I don't know, today I have written a column on this in Indian Express, and I'm quite hopeful that this entire urea transition will be viewed favorably by the government.
Yeah, I mean, there are these shocks that economies go through which have to be viewed as an opportunity for course correction, and this is definitely one. Another sector where we've done a lot of work and which is also getting very directly impacted by the current crisis is the MSME sector.
Oh.
I mean, we just had a meeting in the morning with, we were discussing the experience of certain
especially
establishments.
Those who are in gas-based.
Gas-based in urban setups. So their operating time it's been halved. It's gone down from 20 hours to 11, 12 hours that they're operating at. And there is a serious demand from the industry for solutions. In fact, there were some entrepreneurs who were talking about, making that transition in the next 6 months. So it is really an opportunity to capture and to build on. We do know, again, technology is not a challenge most of the time. Electrification is an option. The prices are increasing as far, the payback periods are reducing with, grid supply getting better and also the other fossil fuels getting more expensive. Our cluster-based work has focused on efficiency, certain technologies, steam as a service. There are new models we are exploring. What solutions seem to you as the ones to pursue if somebody is really looking for those quick wins?
I think electrification. So you have to understand where gas is used in industry. Gas is largely used for boiler and for furnaces.
Right.
They are the only 2 major. It's also used for other activity, but these are the 2 major, boiler and furnaces. In Delhi NCR, a lot of these industries, MSMEs have shifted to gas because of the demand of air pollution. They've either moved to biomass or they have moved to gas. And the concern is the concern is for those who are dependent on gas right now. Electrification is certainly the answer. In boiler sector, where we have done a lot of work, electric boiler is now emerging as a very, very viable solution. It is also plug and play, which means that you can replace an electric boiler with a gas boiler. You can replace the boiler, keep similar pipelines and balance of the system. So it's a plug and play. It's almost like replacing one with another. And it is also switch on and switch off. The current boilers are not like that. Electric boiler, you can switch on and switch off. It doesn't have a pollution control equipment, and it doesn't require material, fuel handling. So it's also economically quite viable and compact. The only issue is cost of electricity.
Right.
Okay. If you start getting electricity, at about 5 rupees to 6 rupees, today every MSME boiler can be converted into, electric boiler. That is one answer. The other answer is common boilers. Instead of everyone having a boiler, one can think about a common boiler which is supplying steam as a service to every industry. That is also possible. Economy of scale, it is going to be much more cheaper. So those answers are also coming. So I think for MSME, shifting to electricity, electric boiler and electric furnaces is very much, possible. The only question is, how do we make this transition economically beneficial for them? You don't want them to shut down because of this. And there are answers. There are ways fundings can be provided. One of the things that we did with UP government actually is to come out with a scheme for transition. And UP government is, for example, providing grants for energy efficiency for these boilers in MSMEs. And they are in the process of also thinking about a scheme for transitioning boiler to cleaner fuels. So yes, it is possible. We now need to look at it as a nation. How do we shift MSMEs who are right now dependent on natural gas, or for that matter, if they are also dependent on coal, because air pollution will remain an issue.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
To electric boiler and furnaces. Okay. We have to think as a national program also to do this.
Yeah. So broadly, what is coming out, I mean, we've done these sectoral discussions, and what is very clear is that the path to all of this is through electrification.
Yep.
Right now, it's very low. I think I'm not sure about how it stands against other countries.
Only about 20% of India's total energy is in the form of electricity.
Right.
80% of energy we consume, we burn something.
Right.
Okay, so electricity is only about 1/5 of our energy supply. It has to become at least 70 to 80% in the next 20 years. If you are thinking about an energy secured India, an energy independent India, then electricity will have to supply at least 75 to 80% by 2040, 2045.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are two things there. One is that expanding the share of electrification is also great from the perspective of creating new demand for the renewable energy economy to grow. Because right now the sector is also suffering from a lack of demand because of the PPAs that are already signed. So there are the new power purchase agreements are difficult to come by. All of them are held up in long-term contracts with coal power plants. So the sector is also waiting for this new demand for electricity to come through, for that transition to within the electricity sector to take place. And electricity sector itself right now, I mean, this was the first year last year that coal-based generation actually went down in the country, but still from a perspective of overall share, it is quite high. And the perception that India's energy security is still tied to coal is also still there. We see these official statements where it's like, don't worry, we have coal. How do you break that perception? And do you need to break that perception? Like, no, is coal important for energy security still?
It is. I mean to say, we will not start producing 100% electricity from renewable in the next 15 years.
Right.
In fact, not even in next 20 years.
Right.
So, to assume that India can shift to 100% renewable in next 10 years is a fantasy.
Absolutely.
And therefore, coal is important. I do see coal peaking between 2030 and 35. Okay. As you said, last year was the first year where actually India's greenhouse gas emission grew at the lowest rate. And that was largely because our power sector, coal-based power sector, was produced less electricity than previous year. Okay. So I do see coal peaking in next 10 years or even before that. But doesn't mean that India will stop using coal to produce electricity. It will. It will certainly keep going down because renewable is cheaper. It is modular. It can be installed in 6 months, whereas a coal-based thermal power plant will require 5 years.
Right.
So from all perspective, renewables will beat coal. And with battery prices coming down, renewable plus wind plus battery is able to provide you, and hydropower is able to provide you electricity 24/7 and at a cost which is cheaper than new coal-based power plant. So I do see a future where first coal will peak before 2035, then it will start coming down. But as I said, it doesn't mean that we'll give up coal. At least till 2045, 2050, some amount of electricity will be produced from coal. Apart from renewables, solar and wind, hydropower, even nuclear. We will have nuclear. Even some amount of power will be produced from biomass. So we will have a mix of fuels and energy sources to supply electricity. So I don't think that we need to create an illusion of no coal economy in next 15 years. That's not going to happen. No scenarios. In no scenario that is possible. So yes, coal will be there. Its importance will keep going down. The importance of renewable sector, hydro sector, nuclear sector will increase. Battery will become cheaper and cheaper. And it will be possible for our grids to be run on renewable plus storage. That is going to happen. And at a price which is cheaper than what a coal-based power plant will be able to provide.
I think part of the solution also is in decentralized and distributed ownership of renewable energy. I think PM Surya Ghar has demonstrated that people are, we are doing, we're supporting MNRE in its implementation in about 6 cities right now. It will go up to 9. What we see is very tangible benefits that people are getting from this energy independence, which is also at an individual level. But this democratization will expand, I think, and it will go beyond, it has to go beyond individual households. We are seeing that the government is also encouraging more and more captives, through group captive models to adoption of RE is getting made easier. But I think that will be a massive sort of strategy going forward to really build on that distributed ownership of renewables.
There's multiple reasons why we should promote distributed ownership and distributed consumption. Okay. Number one, the future of energy is not about having large centralized power plants. Renewable is modular, and therefore renewable is fine with both centralized and decentralized. You now have a technology which is favorable for decentralized installation. And that we have seen in PM Surya Ghar Yojana. Lakhs and lakhs of people have come forward to say, and they are not, by the way, rich people. Okay, we are talking about middle class and lower middle class who have come forward to say, I am going to install solar on my rooftop.
And that has happened because that upfront adoption has been supported through some financial tool.
Some financial tool. I'm still waiting for some analysis to come, but I can tell you that PM Surya Ghar's contribution to our electricity sector will be significant. Okay, to certain percentage. So, but it is not only going to be on rooftops. It is also going to be on land. Okay, small pieces of land where you will have agri PV, where farmers are going to continue cultivation and put solar on their field. So rooftop agri PV, on roof of industries, like the recent Maharashtra policy.
Right.
Okay, a very, very progressive policy on industrial RE.
Adoption, absolutely.
Yeah, as well as storage.
Yeah. Yes.
In fact, if you were to ask me which state has the most innovative and ambitious policy on renewable today, it is Maharashtra.
Absolutely. 100 gigawatts.
They are talking about 100 gigawatts by 2035 in next 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple of years back, that was the target for the entire country.
True.
Okay. So Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra, Karnataka, states are realizing that that's where the future is. So agri PV, rooftop, and then you will have a model of aggregation, which is not emerging right now. Discoms are still, the big supplier and controller of electricity, distribution companies. I think time has come to rethink the structure of Discom itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Instead of one big Discom, can I have multiple companies who are aggregating power from households and selling to you and me? It is possible. After all, grid is like internet. Anyone can buy and anyone can sell. At the end of the day, we are only monitoring the kilowatt hour of electricity.
Yeah.
So I think the other thing that will happen is the future of grid itself and the future of Discom. That is where not much discussion is happening. But a decentralized, distributed architecture is emerging. The prosumers are emerging who are producing and consuming. And I think in 10 years' time, the architecture of electricity will change, and it will be much more similar to internet than what it is right now.
Yeah. The question of distribution sector reforms, of course, it's a long-standing question, and we really have to look at it from a fresh perspective of this independent ownership of energy assets. Some of them are realizing it, a lot of them are not, but that's not a question you can avoid in the next few years. But the other thing that you mentioned here is about subnational action. I think that is the most interesting thing that is happening in the country right now, how seriously state governments and state departments are taking renewable energy sector. In fact, maybe more seriously than what MNRE itself is taking. Ambitiously, I mean, not seriously, ambitiously. So if you aggregate the state level targets right now, it will probably add up to more than what MNRE is even putting out in numbers. So that's definitely one thing we'll see playing out going forward, and in fact the low RE states also, because now with the RCO coming in and the enhanced focus that is coming up on its implementation, I think the states that have so far not paid attention are also gearing up, because they're not looking to import 50% of their renewables from outside, especially when there is no part of India that cannot sort of produce solar.
Produce electricity from renewables.
So that's the conversation of energy security is actually at sort of multiple levels that is playing out: individual, state, national, and it'll get more interesting. Maybe my last question to you, CB, is that we've talked about many sectors here, like from industry, big industry, small industry, fossil fuels to coal to electricity. It gets very complicated when you have to really talk about its operationalization. Like this integrated view, we've had integrated energy policies for the country drafted in the past, and not much happens when it comes to operationalization. It is maybe an easier sort of thing to discuss than to implement, or maybe it needs a different approach. Maybe it's a big guiding principle under which everybody works, or maybe we build a new structure where everybody is working under the same sort of structure.
See, the one is administratively now. Suppose, think about a future where 80% of your final energy consumption is coming from electricity and 20% is from other sources. Then do you need 4 ministries? If we are working towards that future, we have MNRE, which is for renewable energy, Ministry of Power, which is for electricity. By the way, MNRE also is largely electricity, renewable electricity. You have Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, which is for petroleum and natural gas. You have Department of Atomic Energy, which is for nuclear power, for development of nuclear power. You have which other ministry? I think there are
even like heavy ministries involved. Because
heavy
in
hydropower.
Yeah.
They are involved in hydropower.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have multiple ministries, and obviously they have right now, because the sources of energy are significant from all these. Petroleum and natural gas is a significant source of energy supply.
Ministry of Coal.
And Ministry of Coal, of course, Ministry of Coal is there to
which
supply
is also
coal.
significant.
Which 40% of close to 70% of electricity is from coal. So I think if you want an integrated energy view, and therefore if you need an integrated energy policy, then you also need an integrated administrative view on that policy. Right now, that is not the case. So maybe instead of 5 ministries, we could think about 2 ministries. One ministry which is only looking at production of fuel, and another ministry which is only looking at electricity. So even if India becomes energy independent, we are not importing oil and gas and coal, we will be producing fuel in our country. Coal will continue to be produced. We are talking about a clean biomass economy. That biomass economy is not going to be built in business as usual. You will have to think about a proper administrative structure under which that biomass economy can be built, because that biomass economy is going to be as big as any other energy sector.
Yeah.
And then you have a ministry to look at electricity generation, supply, consumption, efficiency. So instead of 5, maybe we could think about a much more integrated administrative and policy structure for energy.
Yeah.
It's something that has been talked in the past, but maybe the time has come to relook at this entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is what happens. Like, economies have to view disruptions as opportunities, and like when we were facing Corona, we started looking for solutions, and we had this cashless economy suddenly come up from nowhere in this country and take a shape that we don't know a future which wasn't cashless. I think this is the time that Government of India needs to sort of piece together these elements which are already there. We are already doing a lot of right things, but I think the pace of it needs to be really pushed forward, because you don't know what happens in this world. The current geopolitics, you don't know what turn it takes tomorrow. So
energy insecurity was always there.
Always there, yeah.
Right now, it's a short term,
right,
and we can feel the pain.
We can feel the pain, absolutely.
Yeah. But the West Asian crisis is not going away. This is going to continue for some time.
Right.
Even if the war stops, the disruption in energy economy will continue. And therefore, it is time for India to seriously think about an economy which is not hedged so much to the oil suppliers or gas suppliers.
Thank you, CB. This was a very insightful discussion. I think we covered a lot of individual sectors, and there's more, in fact, to unpack. In fact, this is the top of the iceberg. We didn't get into steel. We didn't get into many other cement and other segments. Any closing thoughts?
Energy efficiency.
Energy efficiency. That's the big one that we've not gotten into. But yeah, any closing thoughts? Things that I've missed out on.
I'm very excited with what is happening at the subnational level. Not only in states like Maharashtra, but also in states like Odisha and Assam. I think every state is realizing that their future lies in renewable energy, and also in green industry. So whatever we can do to promote that momentum, to support that momentum, is going to be very important. As you rightly said, we are on the right path. And we have all the pieces of that jigsaw puzzle that will solve this. Okay. So we just need to put it together and make it more ambitious. In urea, how do we put green hydrogen mission and carbon capture mission together to build a green urea economy? In renewables, how do we make sure that centralized and decentralized land neutral technologies everything come together with storage to provide reliable electricity? How do we electrify various sectors of the economy? We know these answers, and we know them for quite some time. I think the time has come for the country to basically provide that guided mission to achieve them. And I am quite sure this shock has affected everyone. And in fact, a colleague of ours came to me and said that she went to buy an induction cooker and there was no induction
Out
cooker.
of stock.
Okay, the induction oven was out of stock because people had just everything was gone.
Yeah.
So I think everyone is realizing that we need to shift. Energy security is not a national energy; it's also about a household energy security.
Absolutely.
And people are doing everything to make their household energy secure. So let's hope that we as an institution can support, and let's hope that everyone can come together to make India a more green, energy secure nation.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for those thoughts.
Thank you.